All right, hi everyone. Welcome to today's advanced webinar. My name is Sam and I will be guiding you through this next hour. So a quick rundown of what we're about to go through. First will be some account customization, and that's going to happen in our template section and in people. We will go through and create some document sets, clauses, and talk about trusted service providers. That's going to take up a pretty good chunk of time. After that, then we are going to head into the listing loop that I have already created here. And in that listing loop, we are going to add the templates that we created in the first part. And then we will autofill those documents. We will do some host and person signing. And then we will switch over to creating a searchable listing, or making this listing searchable, and creating an easy offer folder. After that, then we will go through some different offer scenarios that you can run into in Dotloop. Whether the buying agent sends us an offer via Easy Offer or via Dotloop but creates a duplicate loop, or everything happens outside of Dotloop, how do we get that PDF in and counter or respond to that offer? So we're going to go through all of that in an hour, and I know it sounds like a lot, but we have everything, videos, articles on the support site if you need to refresh what you've learned today. And we will go ahead and get started. So I know I said we were going to start in templates, but actually I'm going to click on this drop down here and go into the My Account section. I do this in the beginner and in the advanced because it's important to make sure you have everything filled out here, and this will help autofill your documents. If you haven't visited this page in a while, go back to it and just make sure that you have everything filled out here. Your country and time zone are correct, and we click Save. And then there are some more details to be filled out when you click on Profiles. All right, now I'm going to head into templates. Your templates are home to documents, to tasks, and to clauses. And your template section is most likely going to look different from mine because templates can be provided by your brokerage, your association, or as a premium user, you can create templates of your own. A little bit of backtracking, I am in an agent profile. I see that I'm premium up in the top left, so that means that I can create my own templates, and anything that I create in this template section stays within my account. If you are attached to your brokerage and you create a template folder, a task template, or some clauses, no one else in your office will see those. That's a question I typically get during these webinars. I'm going to start at the bottom and click on clauses since we're here in templates. And I don't think clauses really get the love they deserve. Your clause manager allows you to add as many clauses as you want to. And then when you're in a loop in a document and you start typing appraisal, contract, as is, Dotloop will they will suggest these clauses for you so that you can just select the clause instead of having to try to type it out or copy and paste it from another source. We don't want you to have like another tab open on your browser all the time or be pulling from another source. So you can put them all into Dotloop just by clicking on New Clause and either typing something in here or copying and pasting a clause here. And let's just scroll through the clauses I have, because anything without the 3 dots out to the right means that my office provided those clauses, and it's up to them to be able to edit or delete them. But as we scroll down further, we can see some other clauses that do have the 3 dots to the right, and I can edit and delete any of these because I added them. And you can see I've added some just frequently typed phrases as well. Like the seller has so many days to respond. I have my office address here. So just think about things that you find yourself constantly typing within a document, a contract, an addendum, and you could make that a clause too. And let's scroll past our clauses and we are going to move into tasks. Again, I have some task lists here provided by my office, but I can add my own task list if I want to. If I click on Add Task List, it asks me to give it a name. And once I've named it, I can add tasks here, and I just hit enter to get to the next task. Once I have a task list typed out, I can just add this entire task list to the loop, and once I'm in the loop, then I can assign due dates. And I can drag and drop some tasks and rearrange the order if I need to, and I can also rename or delete a task within a task list. Over here to the right, any task list that I did create, I can delete. I get an "Are you sure?" One cool thing, especially like an advanced feature about task lists that I like to point out, is you can paste a URL within a task and it stays live. If you have websites or applications that you are referencing for your clients, you could put them into a task list and then share this over to your clients. Or you can add hyperlinks throughout the transaction. If you want to link to the MLS, you could do that within a task list. So some cool things that you can just have at your fingertips if you need them. And then the last part of templates where we'll be spending the rest of our time here within templates is the document section. And a little bit of explanation to the method of the madness here that is my template folders. And this will be the same for yours as well. Anything at the top of the list, these are the folders that you have created. And you can always see who the folder is provided by and managed by underneath the document name. So provided by Sam Smith. And then if I click on another folder down here, that actually has documents in it, this is provided by my brokerage. And then last at the bottom will be any folders that are provided by your board or association. So if I had one, let's see here, provided by the association. And just like everything else we've talked about in templates, any folder that you create, you are able to duplicate, rename, or delete. Anything that is not created by you, you are just able to duplicate. Be careful within templates because when you delete a folder, there is no undo and there's also no "Are you sure?" And I don't want you deleting a folder that you worked really hard on to create. Let's go ahead and just create our own folder so you can see what that looks like. It's pretty similar to everything else we've done in templates. Up here towards the top right, there will be an option that says New Folder. And you name your folder whatever you want. You want a buying folder, a listing folder, a rental folder. You create what you need. And just click Create Folder. Now this is particularly great if your office has a folder that is just called Master Documents. And it has every single document that you could ever possibly need, but you want your own buying or listing folder. Or if you are using association documents and you just have one library here, you can separate this out into your own transaction types and folders. And once we're in a loop, I'll show you why that's so much nicer. So now that I have my empty folder here, we will talk about adding from both places, but first let's add from templates because these are all of the interactive forms that are already ready to be used. And if we click on templates, I can see the same folders over here to the left, and if I select a folder, I can then search for the documents that I need to create this listing folder. If I need a contract, if I need a disclosure, a right to sell, those are all right here. So I'm actually just going to grab from this folder here. Never hurts to have an addendum, right? And then I'm going to copy those four into my own listing documents. And the advanced webinar is really all about layers. And you can just leave everything at Dotloop with just the base layer and it'll work just fine. Or if you just want to amp it up a little bit, you can add some layers. So this is what I'm talking about as like a base layer. We just created our own listing documents folder, and that's a great advancement from having to search for these documents every single time I create a loop. But if we wanted to add a layer to this, now we can open up any of these documents and pre-fill them. And I know this isn't going to apply to like every single document or transaction type, but I can open up any of these documents and start typing in some information. And yes, most of this that I'm about to type in would autofill from my account section, but if you're used to having pre-filled templates, if you want certain dollar amounts, percentages to be in here, you can do that. The other way I've seen this used is I'll see agents who, if they work with like investment buyers, they will create a folder that's called I Like to Buy Houses LLC, and then they will add all of the offer documents into that folder and have them pre-filled with their data and the client's data. So every time they create a buying loop for that client that is an investment buyer, all the documents will pretty much be ready to go. And it's just less to do every single time. So just an idea of how people use folders here, but let's go back to this contract and get a little pre-filled. And you can type in this information. And I don't want to make you dizzy, but I'm going to scroll down to the last page. And we can pre-fill some information down here as well. And you get the point here. When you click save, all of that information will already be in the document, and everything else will just autofill around it. Okay, so hopefully, and I'm hoping this for you, all the documents that you need to use are already interactive, meaning that your office has set them up or Dotloop set them up, and they have the text fields, they autofill, they auto-assign. But just in case there's someone out there that wants to know how to create their own templates, I want to show you. And this is a lot of work, so what I'm about to show you in like 5 minutes is the 20,000 foot view, but you can definitely take your time, learn how to do this, and create your own forms if you need to. So let's just say I'm in my listing documents folder and I need to add a PDF that I want to make interactive. I'm going to browse my computer for that PDF. And I'm just going to grab this contract here. I've uploaded a PDF. I can see that it's a PDF over to the right. And now I need to place some fields on here. And this is where I'm going to start to show you hotkeys. And hotkeys can be used in templates, where we are right now. They can also be used in the loop. So everything I'm about to show you can work both places. A lot of hotkeys have to do with the shift key on your keyboard. The first one, if I go up and I click add checkbox, and I know I need to add 3 checkboxes here, before I click and place the first one, I'm going to hold down shift, and that will automatically give me another one to place. And then if I end up with this following my cursor around and I don't need it, I just hit escape on my keyboard. And that works for any field. If I need to place a bunch of text boxes, I can just hold down shift and that will automatically give me another text box, which is nice. I don't have to keep going back up to the top. I'm just holding down shift while I'm clicking and placing. Next, if I need to resize these fields, if I resize from the bottom right hand corner, there's a possibility that I'm going to change the height of the text box. So to avoid that, if I just select the field I want to resize, just clicking on it, and then I move my cursor out to where I want that to end, I can hold down shift and click, and Dotloop will bring the field out to where I want that to end. So I select the field, I move my cursor out, and I shift and click. All right. Last hotkey that I'm going to show you with text boxes, and again, these work on any fields. Surprise, surprise, hold down the shift key again. If you want to move a field by just 1 pixel, hold down shift and then use the arrows on your keyboard to move that by 1 pixel. okay? Now these are just text boxes that if I put this into a loop, I would have to type in the information into all of them. If I want them to autofill, I have to apply a label to that text field so that text field knows to grab that piece of information. To apply a label to a text field, just select the text field, and then up in the top left, it'll say no label. And if you hit this drop down, if you click this drop down, there will be some suggestions, like the field I'm trying to label right now is the expiration date, and that's right up here at the top. But if I need to search for any, I can click on more, and it's basically every view details field possible I can apply to a text box to autofill. And I could click on this text box, there's no label, I need to apply one, and there's city there that I can apply to that field. If you're curious whether a field has a label or not, just select the field and check the top left. Okay, moving on to signature and initial fields, and then we will hit the people section and get into our loop. Let's use the hotkey we already know. I'm going to hold down Shift to place some initials here. And since we're in templates, I'm going to assign these to a role. But if you were in a loop, you would want to directly assign them to the person that you need to sign or initial. But since I'm just doing the same thing to both initial fields, I can draw a box over these fields by holding down my left click. And then I can assign these to the role of seller. And then I also want to group them together so that if I bring this contract into a loop and I only have one buyer or one seller, Dotloop won't prompt that one client to sign in both. It will only allow them to sign in one or the other. And down in the bottom right, it tells me that if I want to copy that field or multiple fields, I can use Command-Shift-C on my keyboard. And it's telling me Command because it knows I'm on a Mac. If you're on a PC, it's going to tell you Control-Shift-C. So watch the bottom right, because once I say that I'm going to copy, it says, okay, here's how you paste. And I'm just going to go down to the next place I need those initials and use the Command-Shift-V to paste. And then I can just click and place those fields. They're already assigned to the correct role and they're grouped together. This is great in templates where we are right now, but this is also ideal if you are representing buyers and you need to download some disclosures from the MLS, but those are PDFs and you need to place initial fields for your buyers all over. Use this hotkey. And I know it's like all fine and great to watch me use hotkeys on a webinar and you can't even see my keyboard. So what I want you to do is go into a test loop or create a test loop and add a PDF and just try out these hotkeys, okay? So that when it comes time to actually use them, you're already a professional. Okay, so that's everything with the template section. Remember layers, you can just create a folder, you can pre-fill, create some task lists and clauses, and you will be in good shape to use these and get a loop kickstarted quickly. Now from templates, I'm going to click on this head and shoulders and go into the people section. We won't spend too much time here. This is just to point out that this is where you can manage your trusted service providers. And just like templates, trusted service providers can be added by your office. So if I click on attorney, I can see that 2 attorneys have been added by my brokerage, and I can still add one more. But if I add that one more, that's it for attorneys. That's all I have in my trusted service providers. And then these will appear in my loop ready to help me out. Now that we've gone through some account customization from our My Account section, our templates, and our people section with these trusted service providers, let's go ahead and hop into the loop that I created. And today we're going to be working with a listing. So I already created a loop and named it the property address right here. And all I've done so far, I was just trying to save some time and not go through the loop creation process because we do that in the basics beginner webinar. All I've done so far is name the loop the property address, and then if we scroll down to the people section, I already added my 2 sellers and gave myself the role of listing agent. Now, while we're here talking about people, there are so many different places within the loop to add people or edit them or just change their role, but this is the only place where you can see all of your people listed out, and it's the only place where you can add, edit, and remove a person. So we have our add button here. We can click the 3 dots to edit someone or remove them. So this is the only place you'll see the option to remove, and that's a nice feature to have, especially when you're managing a listing, or I guess either way. If you want to remove an agent that you've already worked with in the loop, maybe you received their offer and your sellers rejected it, or you added a listing agent to your loop to send an offer to, you can remove that extra agent in the loop so that you're not accidentally sending them any other documents. Now let's use all of the things that we created in our template section, starting with a task template. The benefit of creating a task template is now that I created it, I don't have to click on add tasks and type out each individual task. I can just click on load template and grab the checklist that I need and then add them here. And even though I created these ahead of time, I can still drag and drop tasks into a different order. I can add additional tasks or even delete a task if I don't need it. So you can still customize these based on the transaction if there's something unique. And now that they're here, I can assign some due dates so that Dotloop will email me the day before a task is due. If you already have a task list created in a loop and you really like that task list, all you have to do is go into the loop and click on create template, and then you can save that back to your templates to use over and over again. So just in case you've already created one in a loop, you can save that. Keep on moving up. So we've talked about tasks, we've talked about our people. Here are service providers that were either added by me or added by the brokerage. And just so you know how many clicks it takes to add a service provider, I have to click on the industry. Then I have to click on the plus sign for the person I want to request info from. And then I have to click request info in order for them to be added to the loop so that I can talk back and forth with them, and then eventually they could talk to my clients. There's no way you're going to accidentally add a trusted service provider to the loop, so I just wanted you to see how many clicks it takes. I don't want you to be afraid to click on anything or go one step further. And before you click request info, or before you click on them at all, they are just here as an advertisement. They have no idea who your clients are, what property you're listing. They don't know until they're actually added to the loop. And even then, everything is still private until shared. Next, we will add some documents. If you are the type of agent who, after they create their loop, or maybe they've done a couple things, they go into the view details page to fill everything out, I am all for that. I'm just going to skip that part right now and go ahead and add the documents. And if you're brand new to Dotloop, you can go to the view details page and you can fill out a ton of information here. Think of this as like the control center for the loop. It's the brains of the operation. Your documents are going to be pulling information from here to autofill. And if we just scroll through, you can see how much can be filled in here. But let's go back out and add our documents. I am going to add from templates because that's where all of my interactive documents are, and I already created my own folder of documents here. So that all I have to do is click on select all and then copy those documents in. I don't have to search for each individual document. And if I need something beyond the folder that I just created, at any point I can click on add document and grab more templates if I need to. And now that I have some documents here, I can change the order a bit. And I want to check off the contract and the addendum and open them up. Now this autofill window is the alternative to the view details page. It's not asking for as much information, it's only asking for what the document is asking for. So if we scroll through here, we can fill this out, and then it's going to backfill to the view details page, and hopefully every single time you're opening up documents, you're filling out less and less. But here, it already knows who my sellers are, that I'm the listing agent, property address is filled out, and then I can come through and fill in any missing details to fill into the document. So I'm just going to fill those out really quick, so we can just see the way everything autofills. And then again, once I click autofill, this is going to go into the document, but it's also going to go back to the view details page. So everything will be remembered. If you have pre-filled a template like we did, where we put in some of our information at the bottom of the document and at the top, you will get this pop-up. No stress here, it's just letting you know that it tried to autofill some fields that already have text in them, and we're not going to override that. We're going to leave them as is. But anything that was empty, any text box that was empty, still autofilled here. Now, since this is an advanced webinar, I'm not going to go too in-depth into filling out documents, but at this point, this is when we'd be typing in any information, checking off some boxes here. We can see our clients receive some signature and initial fields assigned to them. But we already used our task templates, we used our listing folder of documents. Now let's talk about clauses. And when we talk about clauses, it's also important to talk about text wrapping. And depending on who set up your documents or how they were set up, you may have this feature. And what this feature allows is for you to put in one block or sentence or paragraph of information, and it will go into each line instead of having to copy and paste into each line. And when a field is text wrapped with another field, when you try to click and type into it, you will get this edit text box instead. So you just click on that, and you can copy and paste, you can just type right in here, or you can start typing one of your clauses. And see, my clause appears down here and adds it to the text box there. And then we can just go ahead and click save. So that's how text wrapping works. Let's find some smaller wrapped text boxes to discuss here. Maybe this one. We'll click on edit text. We'll search for the clause that we need. We can fill this in here. And that looks like it all fits, but what if we put in more text than what's available? Anything that does not fit will be in red, and you see we no longer have the ability to save. So we just need to get rid of what does not fit before we can click save. Any other places you may just be able to start typing, see the clause underneath, and select that clause there. In the beginners webinar, we show how to send a document via email for a client to open and sign, but in this webinar, we talk about host in person signing. And host in person signing still requires each signer to have their own email address, but if your clients are sitting right next to you, they can sign from your device and you can still remain paperless. To start, we need to have a document open that has some signature and initial fields on it, whether it's a PDF or an interactive document like this one. And if you click on More, you will see the option to start a host in person signing. And then you get to choose the client that needs to sign first or is first in line here. And we can click Continue. And this is when I'm going to hand over my computer, my phone, my tablet over to this client so that they can click on Begin Signing. And this actually looks like exactly the same as when a client receives a document via email. And I like to think that host in person signing is a great practice round for your clients to receive more documents via email, because this is what it's going to be like. They just have to access it from their email instead. And our client will click on Start Signing, And the first signature and initial field they click on, they can either use this type signature or draw their own signature, which is great on a touchscreen device, not so great on a trackpad like I'm demonstrating right now. But I do want to show you the drawn signature just in case you never get to see it. If I can get that. Oh, whoa, okay. We really went for that R, didn't we? And they can go back to type if they don't love their drawn signature. Once they're all set, they'll click Adopt and Sign, and it will just take them field by field, just like it does via email. And there is a part of this where an agent will go, oh my gosh, did I break it? Is it buggy? Is this a glitch? But it's all by design, so let me show you. Your client clicks on Finish Signing. They're offered some service providers here. We click skip. They're offered a free Dotloop account, and you say, okay, thanks, client number 1. Client number 2, let's go ahead and have you sign the document now. And you would think that maybe you could come up here to More and host in person sign again, or you could back out of the document and open it back up, but it has actually logged you out. And that is a security feature to protect your account and your client's information. So no big deal. We didn't break it. We just have to sign back in. And one tip is to keep your loops sorted by last updated, because that loop that we need to open back up is right here. And I'm just going to open up those same 2 documents that I just had open and host in person sign for client number 2. And the key to host in person signing is if your clients need to sign more than one document, open all of those documents up together by checking the boxes and using your batch features to open. That way you're only logging back in per client and not per client per document. And on the client's point of view, you don't have to worry about like downloading or emailing anything afterwards, because Dotloop has already sent them a copy of what they signed when they did the host in person signing with you. Cool. Now this is the part where I'm fast forwarding a bit, because I'm sure I'm skipping like a ton of things that you have to do if this were a real listing. But here's what I'm fast forwarding through. We're going to say that all of these documents are completely signed, filled out, they're ready to go. I have downloaded my disclosures and posted them on the MLS. Maybe I had to submit for review to my office to get this listing approved. Any one of those items that's on my checklist is finished. So I now have an active listing, whatever that means in your world, state, region, office. This is an active listing. Everything I'm talking about moving forward is just within Dotloop. I am not going to speak to anything that you do outside of Dotloop, okay? I may give suggestions or best practices, but, my word is not the rule. Okay, so what can we do? Oh, let's talk about layers again. So we're going to add a layer to this listing, because as it is right now, it's fine. It's holding some documents. We did some e-signatures. Our office is all set. But if we wanted to add a layer to this to make it searchable, we can do that. And what that means when I say searchable is that another Dotloop user, if they are representing buyers, could search for 384 3rd Avenue and link to this loop. And we'll see that other agent's point of view, so don't worry, don't stress about that right now. But they could link and share documents to me, and then that would avoid that whole duplicate loop situation that can happen within Dotloop. There are 3 pieces of information that work together to make a listing searchable. And if you've already auto-filled your documents, you may just have to come right up here underneath the loop name and say that this is either a listing for sale or for lease, and then select your loop status to be an active listing. And as long as it says active listing, we have a searchable listing at this point. But let me show you the other 2 pieces of information. If we go into view details, I'll just show you here. Starting with property address. We have our property address filled out. Someone in the loop has the role of listing agent, whether it's you or someone else. and our loop status reflects an active listing. So those are the three pieces that are working together that are required for the loop to become searchable. An optional field that you can fill out is the MLS number once you get a hold of that. And you can have that MLS number in there for the other agent to search for as well. So let's switch to the other agent's point of view. And let's sign in and be Tom. Now if Tom went to go add a loop and he knows, because maybe I put it in the agent remarks on the MLS that my listing is searchable in Dotloop, he can just search by the MLS number and see my listing here. Or he can search by the property address. And see my listing. So that's what it means when your listing is searchable. It appears here as a suggestion or as an option when they are searching for a property address to create their loop with. So that's a great layer as well. If you only have time to mark this as an active listing, you know the property address is in there, you know you have the role of listing agent, your listing is now searchable, and that's going to help avoid duplicate loops. But let's add another layer to this, and that is the Easy Offer folder. And we'll get to see the Easy Offer folder in action, but the Easy Offer folder is pretty much everything that you would put on the MLS, but it stays interactive within Dotloop. We don't lose that interactivity by making it a PDF. So we still have to upload to the MLS, but we can also create an Easy Offer folder. And all you have to do is click on Add Folder. We're going to name it Easy Offer just for training purposes. You can name it whatever makes sense. And then you will drag your completed disclosures up into this folder. And then you can add any other documents. If you want to add a plat, a blueprint, a list of utilities, whatever would help make the offer easier, you could add that into the folder. But I'm just going to leave this as is. Or actually, let's see if we can add a contract to purchase here. I'm going to browse my templates. I'm going to have that in there for the other agent. There we go. We'll grab that one. Sorry that took me so long. And one way to know is if your Easy Offer folder is ready is if it looks different from your regular folder. So right now they're just blue. I don't see anything that differentiates the two. To actually make this an Easy Offer folder that's accessible to other agents, we need to click on Set Up Easy Offer right up here. And you just select the folder that you want to be your Easy Offer folder and click Save. And now I can tell the difference. This one's accessible via Easy Offer. Now we are ready. We have a searchable listing. We have an Easy Offer folder. We can go back over and be Tom and actually link to this listing. It's all set up now. So Tom is going to create a new loop for his buyers to make an offer on my listing. He selects my property address there. And now let's take a look at this loop. And whenever I train on Easy Offer or from two agent point of views, I like to take inventory. So let's take inventory of what Tom can see and what he can't see from my listing loop. Okay, so what can Tom see? He can see the property address. He could also see, if I had uploaded a photo to this listing from Dotloop, he could see that as well. He can also see the Easy Offer folder. If I hadn't created an Easy Offer folder, then he would just have an empty folder here. He can see that I am the listing agent. And he can see his admins. So now let's talk about what Tom cannot see. Starting with people, he can't see my clients. He can't see their names, their roles, or email addresses, or anything else. They're not here. And if we come up to the document section, he can't see my other documents, whether it's my listing folder or any other offers that I've received. And then if we were to go into view details, he can't see like commission rates or any other details that don't make sense for him to see. Okay? So I don't want you to think that we would do something that would put your listing in jeopardy or that would give Tom the upper hand here. He can only see what it makes sense for him to see. Everything is still private until shared. So what Tom's going to do is he's going to open up the documents in this Easy Offer folder. And if he hasn't added his buyer yet, he can add them here in the in the autofill window. And as he's scrolling through, he also needs to mark himself as the buying agent. And then he can type in his own details here. And let's click autofill. And now he has an interactive contract to purchase that we added to the Easy Offer folder. He has that here to help share an offer over to me faster. It's interactive from Dotloop. And if we scroll down to the disclosures, and I want us all to put our pretend caps on to pretend that they are completed. It's not something we're able to do during the webinar, but the disclosures have been completely filled and signed by the sellers. And if we scroll down, by reassigning an existing field on the document, like these buyer initial fields, that does not count as a change that is going to erase any seller signature and initials. Okay, so that's the benefit of keeping it interactive in Dotloop, is that the other agent can just reassign fields that he needs or she needs their clients to sign. Tom can now save and share these documents over to his buyer, and his buyer will sign an initial, and then I'm already added to the loop because he linked to my listing. Once he gets those signed documents back, he can just share them over to me. And because he linked to my listing and he used that Easy Offer folder, when they're shared back to me, I don't have a brand new loop waiting for me. I just have a new folder within my loop waiting for me. And this has got to be my favorite part of the Easy Offer folder. One, it creates a brand new folder and it renames it with the agent's name that sent over that offer. Two, I still have my copies right up here in the Easy Offer folder. It did not archive them. I don't have to go back through document history to find the copies that are just signed by my sellers. They're all waiting here for me. And I can even rename this folder if I want to, if I want it to include the buyer's last name. Because who's not excited about an offer from Taylor Swift? And then I'll rename my listing folder to keep it all organized. Okay, so that's our first offer, and everything is wonderful and paperless. It all stayed within Dotloop. Let's talk about when it's wonderful and paperless, but they created a duplicate listing. Or a duplicate loop. So another thing I do before the webinar is I create this offer loop. And here's the scenario. I'm going to clean this up a bit just so we can see the difference or focus on what we're focusing on. The scenario is we have our listing, we made it searchable, we created an Easy Offer folder, we put it in the agent remarks in the MLS that our listing is searchable within Dotloop, and the other agent went ahead and created an offer loop but did not link to our listing. No big deal though, we are going to merge these loops real quick. We open up this offer loop and resist the urge to add any documents, to manipulate this offer, to add your sellers or anyone else to the people section. Just hold on a minute. Before you do any of that, because we're not going to do it anyway, but before you try to do anything, go into View Details, scroll all the way down to the bottom left, and click on Merge Loop. Search for your listing. what was that called? 384 3rd Avenue? There it is. Search for your listing and then click merge. The last prompt here is, are you sure we cannot separate these loops once they're merged together? And you're okay with that, so you click continue. And if you are successful in merging your loops, it will leave you in the view details page of your listing. If you receive an error, here's probably the reason why you're unable to merge your loops together, and it has to do with people. So if your sellers are in your listing loop, which why wouldn't they be, and then you add your sellers to that purchase or that offer loop that you received, now that they're in both loops, we can't merge. Or if for some reason the buyer's agent has been added to your listing loop, and now the buyer's agent is in the loop that they shared to you, we won't be able to merge. But if the merge was successful, let me just show you that other agent would be added to the loop as a person. And now we have another folder here. It kept it separated. And I could rename this to stay organized. From the other agent's point of view that we just merged the loop with, they have no idea that we merged because it does not affect them at all. Everything is still private until shared. They can't see anything new that they couldn't see before. And now you just have one loop with all of your offers. Even if you don't plan on accepting this offer, and it's not you, your sellers, or whatever the scenario is, I still think it's a good idea to have every offer in your listing folder that you've received. So everything's in one place, we don't have to go back and look for anything later on. And if you're not able to merge your loops, then you can always make a copy. And you can, with any document in any loop, you can check them off or use the 3 dots out to the right if you just need to do it for one document. But you just say make a copy. You want to copy to a different loop. And you can create a loop from this prompt or search for your listing loop to copy it into. That way you can copy that listing in, and then that loop will just be there for you to archive later on. We have 2 more scenarios to go through and then we'll be all finished. The next one, what if a PDF comes in or somebody just hands us a paper offer? How do we work with that in Dotloop? Here's the deal. We receive an offer and they emailed it to us and attached it as a PDF. If I need to open this email, do a little investigating and figure out that it's for my listing on 3rd Avenue, then I'm going to go back into my loop for my listing on 3rd Avenue, and I am going to create a destination, meaning that I'm going to add a folder for this PDF to go into. And instead of adding from templates or browsing my computer, I can click the email block. That will give me this crazy email address, but I'm not going to look too much at it. I'm just going to click copy to clipboard, and then I'm going to forward this email that I received with a PDF or multiple PDFs attached to that crazy email address. And then once I click send, I'll go back to Dotloop and refresh the page. Now we're all working from home and my home Wi-Fi is just a little slow, so it may take a moment for this to come in, but we have something to talk about in between. First, on the things to talk about, the mobile app really shines with this feature. So if you download the app to your phone or tablet, you can open up the email and do like a long press on the attachment and it'll say open in Dotloop. And then it'll say what loop, what folder, and you can just add that PDF right from your email. And the app is great for push notifications, being able to submit for review on the go. Anything you just need to do quickly, you can do on the app, or you can create an entire transaction start to finish too. But if you're not an app person, like I love my computer and doing things on my computer, it's still worth it to download for sure. Let's refresh and see if it's there. There it is. And if it has like a wonky scanner name or whatever the other agent named it, just like we rename our folders, we can rename this document. And the last scenario has to do with dual agency. If you are working as a dual agent, do not, and I'm sorry I'm yelling at you, I just don't want you to do it and I don't want you to get frustrated. Do not add yourself to the loop again. You are automatically added when you create your loop, but we don't want to see ourselves twice. That can cause a lot of problems, and you don't want to see anyone twice in the loop. What you want to do is give yourself the role that's going to autofill the most. And when it comes to being a listing and buying agent, it might autofill pretty evenly on both sides. But give yourself a role, and then whatever does not autofill or auto-assign, you can go right into the document. We'll just use this contract to purchase. You can go right into the document and type in any fields that didn't autofill, or reassign any fields that didn't auto-assign. You just click on the field and assign it to yourself. And that way you're all in the same loop. You're not trying to share documents to yourself or anything like that. If it is a situation where you are selling your own home, so you're the listing agent and the seller, I think the role that would give yourself the most fields would be the seller. So I would assign myself the role of seller so that all these initial fields would auto-assign, and then I would go back in and manually autofill or auto-assign any listing agent fields. So that's all 4 scenarios. We receive an easy offer, we receive a duplicate loop, we receive a PDF offer, or it's a dual agency. We now have the baseline of how to do all of those things within Dotloop. Please don't hesitate to reach out to our customer support team with any questions. And if you scroll down to the bottom of your loop, you have a link to our help center, you have our phone number and your member ID here. So you don't have to look too far for it. Oh, and the last thing I want to talk about, disabling this easy offer folder. If you don't want it to be live anymore, you can click on Set Up Easy Offer, and there's a button right here to disable the link, disable the folder. Or if you mark your loop as sold, the Easy Offer folder is no longer live. And maybe we need to drag these documents back down to our listing folder. We can do that. And just archive this to keep our loop with just our listing documents and all of our offer documents. So I hope you learned something new today. I hope you enjoyed this. Happy easy offering, happy having a searchable listing, and happy looping just in general. Again, don't forget to reach out to us if you need us. Have a great rest of your week, weekend, day, wherever you are in your week. I hope it's a good one. Bye.